Hello and welcome to Gettable, afl.com.au's home of trade, draft, free agency and contract news. We are here thanks to our good friends at Google. It's great to have Google back on board in season 2025. I'm Riley Beveridge. We've got a massive show for you today. Oakleigh Chargers and Vic Metro prospect Sam Grill will join us at the Gettable desk. He's one of the most exciting talents in this year's draft pool, so we can't wait to chat to Sam. But Cal Twomey, you're over at the screen today for our cover story because it is one of the more unique case studies we've seen in the AFL draft in recent years.
That's right, Riley. Looking forward to talking about this one. Our cover story is a pretty cool story. It's the story of Indy Cotton. Indy's big decision. This is the cover story for this week. Why clubs are chasing the free first rounder. So that's the big one we're about to get to. Some other things coming up as well. Port's extra long plan to keep Miles Bergman. The squeeze is on. The Hawks star in rival sites and the Blues, Pies and Bombers big trade plans revealed. But let's get to the bidding war for the basketballer because Indy Cotton is being courted as a Category B rookie. We've written about him previously, adding a little bit more to it this time around though because 8 AFL clubs are in the mix as a bidding war looms for him. Now this is a kid who has some big decisions to make in coming months. He's just turned 18. He's not played at national level for basketball over a couple of years, but has previously, so has absolutely hit the heights of his basketball junior career. And we can see some of the highlights here because he has some real talent in that field. But he also qualifies as a Category B rookie, having not played at any level of footy for more than 3 years. So we can see his basketball talents here. AFL clubs are looking at him, though, as a potential rookie because he has a lot of AFL clubs chasing him. He's from South Australia, so Adelaide and Port Adelaide are in it. Then his dad, Jared, a former player with Port Adelaide, is the Suns' academy coach, so he has family links in Queensland. Right. Both of those clubs are in the battle. Then there's West Coast, Collingwood, Geelong, Essendon, all keeping tabs on this as well. Here he is playing basketball. You might recognise the guy on the right of him. It's Cooper Duff-Tytler, the potential #1 pick in this year's draft pool. Indy Cotton's played basketball with him as well. So he has a decision to make on his basketball. And then if he chooses basketball, then that's obviously going to leave the clubs here looking elsewhere. But if he chooses footy, then he has a decision to make about which club he can get to. Under the Category B rules, you can go and sign him basically now.
So there's no point in him nominating for the national draft because he can essentially choose where he wants to go. Cooper Duff-Tytler, we know he's going to be a pick 1 chance. Where would Indy Cotton have been had he been in this year's draft?
Well, the appeal for clubs is that he's a genuinely talented footballer and he's grown up with footy. So it's not new to him. It's not like he's being reintroduced to the game. He's always loved and played footy until the last couple of years. So 195 centimetres, athletic, grew up with the game. Some clubs think he's around that top 20 mark if he's in the pool. So he's got some stuff at both ends of the ground when he's played. And clubs are trying, as we said, to get a free first-round pick via the Category B rules.
We've seen a couple of basketballers join as Category B rookies in the past. Matt Owies, obviously the most recent and probably successful case study in that regard, joining Carlton and then West Coast. It's going to be a fascinating situation in terms of where he actually does get to with Indy Cotton. Cal, thanks for your work up there. You come back to the desk. We're about to get to one of our favourites here. You get involved, Cal? It is right here, right now.
You go.
All right, I'll kick us off today. Right here, right now, Tom De Koning is Carlton's priority re-signing, but Jesse Motlop should be next. He's been important for Carlton's last 4 or 5 games where they've really stabilised their season. Still uncontracted this year and talks haven't begun yet with Jesse Motlop. His manager, Tom Seckles, recently moved companies, so he's just getting back started now and he's got back meeting with clubs. I believe he met with Carlton this week to discuss where Jesse Motlop's situation sits, so talks could potentially be underway soon on a new deal for Jesse Motlop. I spoke to him this week, Jesse Motlop, as part of the Sir Doug Nicholls round launch. He said he can't see his future being anywhere but Carlton, so even though he's unsigned, I expect him to begin talks on a new deal in the coming weeks.
Alrighty, right here, right now, get your texter out because it's time to put a line through another free agent on the list because Wayne Miller at the Adelaide Crows is set to sign a new deal to remain a Crow. He was due to become an unrestricted free agent this year, but he's now close to a 3-year extension with the Crows, so will stay there. There's been some rival interest in him throughout. This has happened pretty quickly over the last week or so, but North Melbourne and St Kilda among the clubs to flag their interest through the year. But he's set to re-sign for another 3 years, which takes him to the end of 2028. So a good signing there very, very soon for the Crows.
All right, right here, right now, the solution to the Tassie stalemate could be player option deals, Cal. Player option deals are just about the biggest talking point in the league at the moment after you broke the story last week on Zach Butters and that potential 2+6 deal. Clearly, there's going to be some standoff with North Melbourne and the Western Bulldogs around Colby McKercher and Riley Sanders, respectively. Now, they're both tied to their clubs at the moment until 2026. You'd imagine from the players' perspective, they would be holding out for one-year deals to leverage their situation ahead of Tassie's entry into the competition in 2027. There's no doubt North Melbourne and the Bulldogs would love to lock these players down longer term. But what about player option deals? What about 1+2 to take them through to 5 years? Or what about 1+4 to take them through to free agency? And they have that situation then of giving the clubs an extra 12 months to commit them to their future, to the football club long term, to convince them that their football clubs are the ones worth sticking at rather than heading back to Tasmania. So a 1+4 deal, as we said, that would get them through to 2027. Then at any point before 2027, they could lock in longer term through to free agency. Is that the way to break these stalemates on these contracts?
It is a stalemate. It's funny who blinks first, because the clubs won't want to lose them, but also they don't want to go anywhere for 1 year in between Tassie coming in. So,
can't see them doing that, can you?
All right here, right now, Chankel's GF's hot runner form is catching the eye of clubs. So CJ is definitely in the view of clubs as a trade target. He had a career high 32 disposals against Richmond a couple of weeks ago, backed it up with 25 last week. CJ has another 2 years to go on his contract through to the end of 2027, but he's a player clubs are thinking could be dragged out of Waverley. It's definitely one I've got my eyes on. So, and from a Hawthorn perspective, do they need to get some more collateral if they're in the chase for these top A-grade talents, like we've spoken about, the Butters and the Harleys and these type of guys? Do they need some more collateral to do that?
And with their contract crunch coming in 2026, as we spoke about last week.
Yes, that's exactly right. All right here, right now, there's a new Mitch Marsh in town. It's not the Bison. It's not the swashbuckling batsman that dominated the Ashes in 2023. It's this guy, 191 centimetre forward from West Adelaide. He's potentially the best player in South Australia this year. He could be the first South Australian drafted this year, according to recruiters as well. So certainly plenty of scouts out there who like where he's sitting in the pecking order. 191 centimetres, kicked 3 goals last week, kicked 15 goals for the season at under 18 level for West Adelaide, as we said. He's a bit of a Logan Morris, maybe Aaron Cadman type, a little bit of Mateus Philippou as well in the way he plays with that left foot. So he's the son of Adelaide Premiership player Ben Marsh, but he's the crow that got away. So unfortunately for them, and also Richmond, where Ben Marsh played a few games at the end of his AFL career, he's not eligible for father-son status. So in the open pool, Mitch Marsh is tonking them.
He's got to be the Bison, doesn't he?
Yeah, he's got to be the Bison, mini Bison.
All right, you got one more?
Yes, one more. Right here, right now, there's a final list rules battle looming. So revealed on the weekend the proposed selections to Tasmania that are coming through with some more details there. There's Brendan Gale looking at his nice logo. And here's the headline: Tassie will be forced to trade 6 first-round picks as list rules get close. So as we get a little bit more specific now around the picks that are up there, as we wrote about on the weekend. So they've got pick 1, pick 3, pick 5, pick 7, 9, 11, 13. You see 5 and 9, 5 and 9 in the second and third years. Those are on top of their own picks, so they'll have 3 first-rounders, of course, for those years. Yep. Now, my expectation is Tasmania will push back on having to trade these picks.
Right.
And that there'll be any caveats on them. Now, the clubs that have been briefed around these rules are pretty open to Tassie being open to do whatever they want without too many guardrails on it, with the view that they can get involved as well and be savvy enough to get involved. But I think there's a final list rules battle looming before these are locked in, and I think the Devils will be pushing for some of those caveats to be taken off. In the end, it's going to come down to the AFL's call. They want Tassie to be able to get players and use the picks on players and actually share some of the picks around. So that's going to be a final call made by the Commission in coming weeks, and then hopefully mid-season clubs will get the final rules locked in.
What if there's no player that matches the value of the pick? So what happens if they've traded all the picks but they've got pick 5 but they can't find a player willing to come to Tasmania that's worth pick 5?
Yeah, so this is part of the rules. The AFL is calling it the roll and trade.
Yeah.
I'm calling it the jackpot. So the roll and trade, or the jackpot, is that if that pick is still available and they can't find a player or players worthy of it, then it moves into the next year. So if it's in 2027, it goes into 2028, and the draft just moves forward 1 spot and it dissolves in the draft order essentially, and then gets put into the following year, where again it's up for grabs and jackpot. So that's the play around with that. So you just keep pushing it down the track until you find one, if you can't.
All right. Well, clubs are going to find one this year in one of our next guests, and that is Sam Grill, who is having a great start to the season. Let's bring him in. All right, we are thrilled to be joined by our next guest at the Gettable desk. It is Oakleigh Chargers and Vic Metro midfielder Sam Grill. Sam, thanks for coming on Gettable.
Yeah, thanks for having me on, boys. Yeah, really appreciate that.
Looking forward to having a chat with you, mate. Let's get things sorted before then, though, because this is your first opportunity on a public space to get the pronunciation of your surname right. Is that right? Grill?
Yeah, that's perfect, yeah.
Okay, we're going to roll with that for the rest of your career. And where does it come from? What's your background?
Yeah, it comes from Macedonia, so my grandparents are from my dad's side, so yeah, it comes from there.
So need another Macedonian marvel. Got the Dacos,
boys,
the Dake guy. How have you seen your start to the season, mate? Because it's been a really positive one from our point of view. How have you sort of hit your goals to begin the year?
Yeah, definitely really excited to move into the midfield this year. Coming from half back with some really quality players last year, like in Finn and Jagger and Grossi, playing on ball. So being able to move on ball this year, was really excited to have that opportunity and be able to show my strength there. So I think, started the season well, set that good foundation, that good base for myself to be able to build on, and just looking to keep on improving and keep getting better, because probably something I really pride myself on.
Yeah.
You mentioned some of those boys you played with last year in a pretty talented Oakleigh team. It must have been great learning from them ahead of your top age year this year.
Yeah, especially Jagger and Finn, looking at some of the vision, probably try and play a bit like Finn, just lateral movement and the way he can break games open. Probably looked up to him a little bit last year, to be completely honest, so yeah.
Now, before we get to the rest of the questions, I think it's time we turn up the heat for the grill. It's time we turn on the grill on grill. Here it is. Our director, Lockie Rand, has come up with some of his best work here. Grill the grill. The fire is going to be burning throughout the rest of this one. Even the smoke's coming off at the top.
It's good, I like it.
Happy with that?
Yeah, it looks good.
Good. So what do you see your main strengths as a player? What are the things that you think set you apart?
As a player, I think probably try and bring my speed, lateral movement, explosiveness and competitiveness, and something I've probably been working on is my cleanness. So bringing that into every game, regardless of the level, and trying to bring that to show my strengths and showcase that.
You came into the year obviously wanting to set yourself, and your first 3 games were absolutely fantastic for the Chargers. I mean, how important was it for you to get off to a really hot start this year?
I think it was really important because, as I said before, it sets that foundation and base and kind of gives you something to build off, and I probably look to that and set that goal at the start of the year.
What about Vic Metro trial game a few weeks ago? I thought it was one of your best ones, and some of the highlights out of that were really good. Is that part of your game to show that zip and speed?
Yeah, probably something I try and focus on.
Some of your run?
Yeah, that's pretty good, yeah. Yeah, but thought I played my role. As you know, Kel, I think sometimes when you do a trial game, you can get that was pretty good. You do get you can get lost because everyone's coming together and you're with different people. So I think probably just tried to impact the game when I got the ball, and I was able to do that. So I was pretty happy with how it went, yeah.
Now, after that one, we said there's a couple of AFL players you reminded us of. One of them was Max Holmes with the dash and speed. Is he a player you look at, and if not, who else are you sort of watching and saying, can I take bits of their game and take it into mine?
Yeah, definitely watch a little bit of Max Holmes, but probably mainly Zach Butters. I think he's probably someone I look to with similar height to me and similar size. So I probably look at him and the way he goes about it in his midfield craft.
Is there something in the way his footwork or his attack on the ball? Obviously, Zach does it all.
Yeah, probably just aggressiveness and his competitiveness and combativeness, especially being smaller midfielder like myself. You see there massive hit, and probably something I try and bring into my game.
Now, we told you're a big footy head as well. How much footy do you actually consume on the weekend, do you reckon?
Yeah, probably a bit obsessed, to be completely honest. But I think try and watch a couple of games here and there, especially Port Adelaide and Geelong. Just try and watch Zach and Max try and get better. But go down and support my friends when I can, I guess, and not too much, but a little bit, I guess. Yeah.
Who do you actually support?
Carlton.
You're a Carlton supporter.
Yeah.
That's good. We like that, don't we, Cal?
You do. Just on AFL players as well. A little highlight here. Have you watched Finn Callahan much?
Yeah, I have watched a bit of Finn.
Yeah, have a look at this one. So this is you with that one, and then Finn Callahan on the double bowl. And then hang on, Finn Callahan 1, and 2, bang. Can we do a few more of those?
That's the lateral movement, isn't it?
I'll try, yeah.
Where do you want to be at the end of this year in terms of the draft position? Is that something you circle and say, I want to be a top 5 pick, I want to be a top 10 pick, I want to go as high as I can?
Probably not looking at it too much right now, but definitely something. I had a goal coming in, trying to go first round is probably a massive goal for myself, but just trying to focus on what I can do to get there at the end of the day.
Yeah.
We're told you spent a bit of time down in Anglesey over the summer training with some AFL stars, and most notably probably Toby Green, the Giants captain. I mean, what did you learn from that experience down there?
Probably just his intensity and the way he goes about it. He's got this dog called Oreo, and just runs around all day with his dog, and just I think he said to us that he thinks that the bare minimum is what GWS give him, So it's probably thinking about that and thinking like, if he's going to do that, I should probably do that as well.
How's Aurea?
Yeah, no, he's good, yeah. Gets in the way a little bit, but it's fine.
Would you say you're one of those workers, like in terms of the 100%, 110% guys who do everything to get this dream possible?
Yeah, I think definitely, yeah.
Yeah. Well, what about clubs in terms of their meetings with you? Have you had a few of them to start the year?
Yeah, I've had a couple, yeah.
How's that experience?
I think the first ones I did, I was probably a bit nervous and like trying to impress them, I guess, but probably settled into it a little bit and got used to their questions, I guess, and how I want to present myself. So I think getting used to it as I go.
We mentioned your zip and turn of speed as well. Have you got an athletics background? Is that something that you've sort of done as a kid, or how quick actually are you over 20? What's your best?
I think my best is 2.901 or something. Yeah,
pretty quick. Did you do much athletics as a kid?
No, I've never done athletics.
Yeah, there you
never
go.
done athletics. Yeah.
Always footy.
Yeah.
What about last year in this sort of vision, and we see some of your highlights here in the sidestep, taking the experiences out of last year into your draft year, how beneficial was that for you?
I think it was huge, like being able to play two positions, I guess. Half-back last year and being able to use my strengths there and then move on ball this year probably is helping me, I guess, because have that backing, that understanding of the way I can play two positions now.
The Vic Metro group's about to get together. I think you got one of your first training sessions later in the week as well. I mean, how important was that for you to make that squad and to potentially set yourself for the championships later this year?
Yeah, it was really important. Like a massive goal of mine coming into the year as well was to make this goal because I missed out on under 16. So that was a pretty big goal coming into this year, wanting to make 18s and put my best foot forward.
Oh, this is the most ridiculous thing we've ever done. But you've kept a very cool head with the heat flying behind you. We do want to know though, what are your thoughts on some of the nickname options we've got for you? Because there's a lot to work with.
There is.
Riley's thrown out Bear Grill,
Yeah,
Bear Grylls. George Foreman.
Yep. I've watched the movie, but yeah.
George Foreman Grill. You know he's got that obviously. The Weber.
Yep.
The barbecue. The chef.
Yeah, we like it all.
And I'm going to throw this one up. I want to get the Sizzler going. So we all know the Rizzler, right? We all know the Rizzler. But the Sizzler, it works. You grill and the Sizzler.
Yeah, I'm not too sure about that. I don't mind it. I probably like the grill the most. I reckon that looks pretty cool right now. Yeah.
Okay, well, because you don't like it, we're going to stick with the Sizzler. Hey, thanks for coming in, mate. Very well spoken. This is yours. This is your grilled Gettable t-shirt. Shut this up there. You drive yet?
No, not yet.
Well, there's some car stickers for you as well.
Good
luck for the championships and thanks for the chat.
Appreciate it, Sam. Big thanks to Sam Brill, one of our favourites in this year's draft pool. All right, Cal, let's get to our next segment. It is one of our favourites. It is Askable.
Let's do it.
This is where you can ask your questions. Get in touch with us on our Instagram page at Gettable. Sammy wants to know, what are Carlton's trade options if TDK leaves?
Well, they have to get on the ruck move, don't they, if he goes?
Yes.
So they've been linked to Darcy Cameron, of course, in that chase if he did depart Collingwood. Would they try for Rowan Marshall? Would they go for him?
Well, they broke even on Friday night, I reckon.
Yeah. I mean, the question's got to be asked around, if TDK goes to St Kilda and they trade out Marshall for an early pick, is it kind of pick purchasing in a way where you can get like TDK and a top 20 pick or so for Marshall and you buy the pick? Anyway, I also think that, you know, their door's open if they lose De Koning and get on the march then. And do they go for Miles Bergman or a couple of those other guys that are up for grabs and you've got 1.1 million sitting in the kitty?
Mm-hmm. All right, Xavier wants to know, Butters and Bergman, stay or go?
Well, they've been proactive and aggressive with both of them. Obviously, we spoke about the Butters deal last week, and they've been similarly busy with Bergman too, who reported this week on afl.com.au. Is waiting until the mid-season, until sort of he gets to his decision-making process, but it has to make a huge call in his future, and Port Adelaide is willing to go extra long-term to make him lock in. The same sort of opportunities would be there for him too, in terms of a couple of years deal to free agency, and then his free agency deal on top of that, which is, 6-7 years. These are the type of deals you usually get for these type of players. So there's a stack of Victorian clubs who are obviously keeping an eye on Bergman. Melbourne's in that, Carlton, the Western Bulldogs, St Kilda, of course, has been linked, but Port won't be beaten for money like they won't be for Butters. So in the end, it's going to be a tight call, that one, I think, with Bergman in the second half of the year.
Kate wants to know, any updates on Sam Draper's decision?
Well, discussions have now progressed to the point of talking about terms.
What do you reckon that could be then? Because we spoke about this a couple of weeks ago in terms of how the Achilles injury potentially changed it. So what do you reckon that looks like?
I'm expecting that to land around the 4-year offer, I would say, around that 4-year mark. And that would take him through to the end of 2029 when Draper would be 31. So I'd expect that to be around the mark. And then he'll have a decision to make.
All right, Hoagie wants to know, what is Matt Rowell waiting for?
Yeah, tick-tock.
Tick-tock on the Matt Rowell clock.
The clock is absolutely ticking on this one. And the longer this goes, the more excited Victorian clubs are about the possibility of him moving. I, like Vic clubs, thought about a month ago that the most likely result was a 2-year extension at staying at the Suns. I'm not ruling that out at all, but I probably think that the longer this goes, then the more up in the air that is. So I think this is live. I think he's closely weighing it up. And the Suns have the mid-season bye in round 14. If he's still unsigned, then there are major warning signs blaring across southeast Queensland.
Okay. Zach wants to know, does Port Adelaide have NGA access to Zemez Pilot in 2027?
Yes, we get this question a lot. Yes, they do. The co-pilot is tied to Port Adelaide in 2 years and is looking a pretty exciting prospect. Just on the NGA as well, clubs are getting very antsy about what their zones are going to be, and that's going to come through over the next few weeks. The redesign of the zones is just about locked in. Clubs are still waiting on the actual specifics of that, but they'll be coming soon, and I'm very, very keen to see the reaction to the fallout of getting some chopped zones or some extended zones or some moved around zones.
Yes, they are nervous at the moment, aren't they? Cam wants to know, any NAS updates?
No news, and that's news is good news or no news is bad news.
I was going to say, who is no news good for?
Well, I just don't expect movement on this one for a while. He's very comfortable waiting this out, so I don't think that's changing for a bit.
All right, Tani wants to know, is Jamie Elliott getting a new deal at the Pies? He has been fantastic.
So good. 6 goals last week against Fremantle, best on ground there, was outstanding. 22 goals for the year. Not yet for a new deal. That'll likely pick up those discussions around mid-season, but he's one of a crunch of Pies veterans who they have calls to make on. Let's have a look at them here. I mean, Pendle, Sidebottom, Elliott, Hoskin, Elliott, Howe, Cox, Myercheck, Mitchell. Who stays, who should go? Because the tough reality here is that the Collingwood Footy Club can't keep all of these guys. They have to start staggering these exits. Here on the spot, who goes?
I think Pendlebury, Sidebottom, Elliott are the 3 at the top that I would say 100% have to go on, just given their form this year. I mean, they've been 3 of their best performers.
Okay, who goes as in leaves?
Well, Hoskin Elliott I think has been underrated. Howe's been very good for a long time. I don't think Cox, Mitchell, we know the bodies. Yep. Maybe it's 2 of those last 3.
Yeah, maybe it has to be another couple more as well. Big calls coming from them, but that'll start to take shape in the mid-season.
It certainly will. All right, Mitch wants to know, who's the next Sean Grigg, Basher Hooley type of low trade, high payoff option for the Tigers? I'm sure they'd be hoping they find one, wouldn't they?
Yeah, those two have been brilliant, weren't they, in that premiership run. I'm not going to say this one's specifically for the Tigers, but I do think for a club looking for a midfielder, it's clear that Elijah Sardis is gettable now. I mean, Essendon has its midfield group relatively locked in with Merritt, Durham, who's an absolute star, Sam Durham. Caldwell, Parrish will come back into that. Sardis puts up big numbers in the VFL, dominates at that level. He's clearly too good for that level, but their midfield unit is pretty locked in. So he has a year to go on his deal, but to me, shapes as the low trade cost, high payoff potential player for a club looking for a midfielder. So he's one that this year I think is definitely there for the taking.
Basher Hooley 2.0 going from Essendon to Richmond as well. Hendricks wants to know, can the Dons land a high-level middle forward, or do they take their picks to the draft?
Look, I've mentioned this a little bit, and it's probably worth reiterating that this year's draft has some good players in it, some very good players in it. We just spoke to one of them, but I don't think there's the same star quality across the board of last year or the depth of last year. So that's what clubs are seeing as well. And there are some good players, but a lot of them are tied to others. So if I'm Essendon, I'd be taking the 2 first-round picks, which are currently pick 4 and pick 10, and take him to the trade table and saying, what can I get for his? Can I get a player under 24 to combine with Adam Swade and Hussein Al-Ashkar as NGA players later on? Because that gives them real space and room to move. They've obviously been looking at the high-end players and you'd use the first-rounders for them. They've also, I think they're a club to keep an eye out in the Liam Ryan race for as well. They've had a look for him in the past. We know they've got a high number of West Coast people at the footy club in terms of their list management decisions as well. So he's absolutely gettable for the right club, and they need some more small forwards. So that's a watch this space with Bombers and Ryan.
I think given their situation as well, as you mentioned with Al-Ashkar and Swade coming through, you can essentially have 2 top 20 picks come to your football club without having to actually use those picks. I mean, you've got 4 and 10, why not go and use them and try and fast track this mini rebuild a little bit as well? All right, Cal, Great work from you today. Big thank you again to Sam Grill, who's such a fantastic guest at the Gettable desk. Plenty more still coming on afl.com.au. Keep your eyes peeled for inside trading. That's all the latest contract news from around the competition. We'll see you same time, same place next week on Gettable.